Welcome to Healthy and Holy Lifestyle, a place for men ready to do life differently. If you feel like you've been trying to figure out manhood on your own, you're not alone. Here we wrestle with real questions about faith, family, fitness, finances, and have some fun along the way. No fluff, no fake perfection, raw conversations about striving to live a healthy and holy life. Let's get it. What's up, everybody? It's Healthy and Holy Lifestyle Podcast. It's Conrad Meyer with my co-host, Steve Williams. How you doing, Steve?
Oh, man, I'm hanging in like a hair in a biscuit.
That sounds disgusting, but hilarious.
But I'm hanging in there.
Very true, very true. Well, man, how was your weekend?
It was good. I spent it in the driveway putting brakes on my pickup truck. So I was learning all kinds of new ways to not say bad words every time a spring would pop off those rear brakes. So yeah, I learned control this weekend.
A little birdie told me that you were pretty committed to trusting your brakes, and you may not have.
Yeah, come to find out,
that.
I only had one wheel that was actually stopping the whole truck.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Well, we're glad you're still with us.
Me too. Me too. I'm glad the jack held up while I was under the truck, because I have had them fall off the.
I literally had a buddy who said he had his van. Or their Sprinter van fall on his gut. I don't know what that means.
Oh,
exactly.
No.
Yeah, he just said that when I was live a few minutes ago.
And he's still talking.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what he meant by that, but my guess is he had something in place and maybe it caught
I hope
it. I don't know.
That thing was that size and not.
Yeah, I have no clue. I didn't know how to respond to that moment, to be honest with you.
That's a miracle that he's talking to you.
Praise the Lord.
It's the big Mercedes Sprinter van.
Right. I don't know if it's a Mercedes. It might.
Is that what they are?
I mean, not everyone is a Sprinter van.
But, they're not?
I mean, there are Mercedes Sprinter vans, but there's other companies that do
Sprinter
vans.
Okay.
But, yeah, this weekend for us, we went all the way back home to visit some family. We had a friend who had a wedding, and Zane cut his first tooth. So his first tooth is through, and now his second tooth is showing.
Oh, my gosh.
And he's been trying a bunch of different foods. So dad life is amazing, and
wow.
He was one of the cutest attendees at the wedding. He got a lot of attention at the rehearsal dinner and then at the wedding.
He stole a lot of thunder from the bride. Huh?
He stole a lot of thunder. You know, the bride was beautiful, but Zane is a cutie. But anyways, tonight we are going to be talking about being a man who carries weight, not running away from it. In our culture, there's a lot of times, and we don't have an actual title for this, we're just going to go over this concept. But in our culture, a lot of times, it seems to be people are doing whatever it takes to avoid responsibility or commitment or, you know, I mean, how many people get into a marriage nowadays with a way out?
Yeah.
Just going into it. Like, that right there should tell you, like,
That's
this
right.
is probably not a good idea. Like, if you're already looking for a way out, you might not want to go in, you know what I mean, at that point. But, you know, we're going to be just talking about essentially there's this idea in the culture to do what makes you happy. And who cares what it does to other people or how other people feel about it, because it's all about you.
That's right.
Everything's about you all the time. Do what makes you happy, trademark pending. Like, I mean, like, I hate it, but that's literally what we're dealing with. And what's interesting, though, is most of the people we see who do whatever they want to do and live however they want to live end up appearing to be pretty miserable.
Yeah.
And it's not until years later down the road that they kind of go, I've found there's more life in living with a purpose or living for others.
Yeah.
And so as we dive into today's idea of talking about this, what are some thoughts that come to mind for you?
Wow. When you sent me the outline for this, I was thinking about, you know, what makes a man and why are the reasons that he would not commit. And I started researching it, and some of the things I found is like a fear of like losing their freedom. Like, you know, all of a sudden they're not in control of their destiny, or, you know, or it could be, you know, just past heartbreaks why they don't commit to relationships. I know we always joke about, thank God I didn't marry this one, or thank God I didn't marry that one. But, you know, one bad relationship can kind of scar you from, committing to anyone down the line.
You can.
But that's kind of what I was thinking along those lines there. Not to mention, there's fear of failure. You don't want to be a failure. You only want to do it one time.
Right.
You want to make sure you pick the right one. But I think a lot of times we really realize that we're not ready. And that's why we end up, if we're scared to say anything to our future wife, like, look, even though you've made the plans and you've made the promises and you realize I'm not ready for that. Because one, I think it's like it's like planning a trip and you haven't secured the finances, you haven't planned the trip.
Okay.
You don't, because maybe you've never done a trip like that before.
Right.
So I mean, if you don't know how to plan for a marriage, because there's a lot of things that this society has gotten away from, the responsibility side of being responsible before you get into a relationship.
So, I mean, you went straight into relationship on that one. I would like to kind of relate that to a hiking trip that I took at one time.
Yes.
All right. So I had a buddy of mine. He had previously done a hike on the Appalachian Trail. He knew kind of what to expect, what he was going to experience after a couple of days on the Appalachian Trail. I had no clue what I was going to experience. I asked him questions, and I asked maybe a few questions, but I didn't really get into the thick of it, right? Like, I did not really dive too deep. I was like, I'm in pretty good shape. I'll be okay. And so I went to a store, and I said, hey, I'm looking at doing a hiking trip. I did not tell them I'm doing the Appalachian Trail for several days. Oh, wow. I said, I'm looking at doing a couple of night, hiking trip, nothing too crazy. Because I didn't even research where we were starting and what those next days were going to look like. I didn't know how to plan out.
Were you planning on doing the whole Appalachian Trail?
No. Just several days.
Okay.
It was going to be several days. And what he had a plan. Okay. Because he'd been before. Okay. And so because he had a plan, he said, hey, the first day we're going to do this leg. The next day we're going to do this leg. I was like, I don't care about that. I'm in good shape. I'm not worried about that. And so we go get ready to, for this trip. And I go and get this new bag. Never wore the bag, never even really tried it out other than in the store for a few minutes, right? I get a new sleeping bag. I get a new this, a new that, a new this. Nothing's worn in. Nothing is, has any type of life to it. I got new shoes for hiking. Oh, I did not break my shoes in. So these are things I didn't know about, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm excited. I'm going on this little hiking.
You just jumped in.
And I'm like, let's do this. And I spent a ton of money on a bunch of equipment and all this cool stuff. And I had like this little burner and thing. And I knew I could survive like cooking and I could do that stuff. That's fine. But what I didn't realize is that, man, I didn't really have a pattern set up for how to do this.
Yeah.
And I've never done it. I've never had to go sleep in the night in a tent. And I should have done it in my backyard a few times, right?
Yeah.
How do I set this thing up? What does this look like? Do I really want a one-person skinny tent?
Oh, yeah.
Wait a second. Why would you want a little bit bigger? Well, because I'm not used to sleeping like that.
Yeah.
I'm not used to being in that position. And so anyways, the long story short of it is I packed for the trip. I had everything for the trip. I was excited for the trip. That sounds like marriage, right?
Yes.
I'm packed for the trip. I'm excited for it. I got everything I need. I got a job. But we don't realize that you're going to make a false step.
Yeah.
And you're going to roll your ankle somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't know how to do a splint, you're walking around with your ankle just kind of swelled up and you don't have anything wrapped around it because you don't know how to make a splint. Right. You don't know, and you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. But when I went on this trip, and as I'll be honest with you, I literally rolled my ankle about 3 days in, and I walked on it for a day. And it was just swelling up. It was like a grapefruit was in my ankle, and it was hurting so bad. And we were only doing like 5 days.
Yeah.
And I just said, bro, I'm gonna have to be the wimp. I don't have it in me to like keep going, further at this point.
Yeah.
And my shoes are killing me. I got blisters. My feet are hurting. And we weren't doing crazy stints. I think one day we did like 10 miles or something like that.
Oh gosh.
Which is a lot. But like we were just walking, we were just walking at a pace and hiking, but it's also up and down. It's not walking around my neighborhood. And so I would say this. I learned in hiking that what you don't practice for or prepare for will probably lead to your destruction when you go on the trip. And I think that's the same way in marriage. we date a certain way and then expect going into marriage, we're going to be committed. We're going to be somebody who can stand the test of time and hard issues. When an ankle gets rolled or attitudes are, coming out because somebody read the map wrong or, whatever that is, expectations aren't known. Dude, why are we doing 10 miles today? Why don't we just do 5? Because I said we were doing 10.
Just because you saw your parents, you grew up with 2 parents. If you grew up with 2 parents, just because you saw how they did things does not mean you're prepared for marriage yourself.
Ooh, talk somebody.
So, I mean, you can, because I guarantee you there are a lot of mistakes that your parents made that they haven't shared with you. They've only shared behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it took for them to not give up through that whole journey.
Right.
So there's a lot to do. But see, this generation, not just this generation, but the one that came before me, I would say it started with them. They got away from planning a marriage starting at childhood. Like the parents would plan your marriage, not necessarily pick your bride. I know they didn't do that, that short time ago. But what they did do is they prepared you for, first of all, you have to get you right. You have to get your finances right. You have to get your education. And once you get your education and your finances right, you get out on your own, you're paying your own bills, and then you can plan to bring somebody else into your life, bring somebody else into your mess, if you're not prepared. But if you're prepared, it's a lot, I would say it's a lot easier to find the right mate, but you start out so much better off when you put off that female relationship or that male relationship you feel like you're needing in your life to after you're prepared for it. And see, our generation, we don't prepare our kids as well as we should because we tell our daughters to stay away from boys. Stay away from boys. That's our guy's way of saying, this will work. Just stay away from boys. Well, then you find out they're, 14, 15, sometimes younger than that. They're already seeing boys on the side that you don't even know about.
Right.
So I think the thing to do is to be a parent when you first have a child, you need to sit down with your wife or your husband and you need to plan as much as you can to prepare them for life. And let them be a kid, but at the same time, drop little hints and make them responsible children so that they'll be fully responsible before they ever bring another person into their life.
Yeah, especially
for a lifelong commitment because you want to do it one time.
Especially the purpose of dating, right?
Yes.
Because if there's purpose in dating, it's easier to avoid the perversion in dating.
Yes.
So your purpose is not to hook up.
Yes.
Your purpose is to find somebody to do life with.
Yes.
In the long run. I know some people go, well, I don't know. Why would you want teenagers to do that? Well, how is it working out? How is it working out with these teenagers giving their heart away, their body away, getting pregnant, having children out of wedlock? How is that working out for our culture so far? It seems to be super fantastic. You got a bunch of pissed off baby mamas, that are
We can't
online.
even teach our kids to hold a door open for somebody. I was noticing that for the last week. I was like, how many doors got closed on me because the person in front of me refused to hold the door open for as close as we are right now?
Self-seeking, self-centered.
Just let the damn door close behind you. That just makes me so aggravated when somebody does that because I think it's because I go out of my way to hold that door, even if I got to wait 2 or 3, 4 or 5 steps because somebody's coming in.
Yeah.
But I noticed it.
There's a rule there, right? Like there's a little bit of a distance. Like if you walking slow and you're far away, like I got something to do.
Well, number one thing, if you're on your phone and walking to me, you're going to get like 3 steps. I'll wait 3 steps. But any more than 3 steps, I'm going to let the door go. Yeah. But I saw kids this week, teenagers, that didn't even hold the door open for their parent who was walking behind them. And I just, I didn't say anything to him because it ain't my business. But I remember thinking, wait till we get on that podcast, I bet you I'll say something then. Because this is a bully pulpit.
Yeah. But see, that's a struggle too, right? Like we're not teaching people to look around and look out for other people. Mm-hmm. We're not even like, there's some things that are under my skin. So I'm trying to be very careful in what I say here. But when it comes to like being committed in our society to have a job, Now I work for myself predominantly, and I'm building businesses and I'm doing different things or whatever. But when I work for somebody else, if I say I'm going to be there at this time, I'm there at that time or earlier. And I'll say, I got meetings where I meet with people and I show up 15 minutes early, no matter what.
Yeah.
I show up 15 minutes early because if something were to happen, traffic, whatever, I still have a pretty good chance of getting there.
That's right.
And then in my text message, I can tell them, I left 15 minutes early. This is out of my control.
Yeah.
And I have a clear conscience.
Yeah.
Because, like, by the way, I set it so that I'll be there 15 minutes ahead of time. And what happens is, especially when you meet with somebody 1, 2, 3, 4 times, they go, this guy's already here. He's already set up. So if I'm ever not there, guess what they're thinking? Is he okay?
Yeah.
They're not thinking that bum.
Yeah.
But if you show up the moment everything happens, now I know that there's some things that are out of our control, right? We have a meeting in the morning that I go to for entrepreneurs, but I'm leaving a Bible study that ends like right at 7:30, and then I got a jet across town.
Yeah.
Right? I literally walk into that door, but every single week they're talking for the first 10 or 15 minutes. So even then, I see myself as 15 minutes early.
Right.
I show up right on time, but I mean, it's like I see myself as early because I'm there during the icebreaker and people chatting
intro.
and whatnot, the intro. And so I think that's an issue kind of in our society, this commitment, because we're not teaching people to think beyond themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Like I remember when I did construction, okay, I did audio video for commercial and residential. And we had this day where it's like, hey guys, we need to leave at 4:30. We have a 30-minute drive, and then that ferry is only from 5 o'clock to 5:30 to get on that ferry. If we're not there, they will leave our butt, which means we now have a full day that we set aside to do this project on this island. We're donezo. I had a guy that was not there by the time I said to be there, and I left him.
Yeah.
And I called my boss. I texted my boss. I texted my boss and said, don't give him work today. Tell him he doesn't get paid today. Because he just messed me up because now I'm going with less guys.
Yeah.
And I still have the same workload.
Right.
And I was the, kind of the, what do you call it, lead of that job. So I was like, he's going to hate me and he can call me, he can ring me, he can do whatever he wants. But I'm going to tell him how bad that hurt us in productivity. We have to work twice as hard now because he's not here. And so I don't know like fully if he got that full picture, but I will say that the rest of the time that I worked with him, he showed up on time. I don't know if he did that at every job after that. I don't know if that was a life lesson for him.
I'm sure he will remember.
But it was just like, send him home. Because I don't want him to just think, well, I didn't have to go onto the island, so I didn't have to do the hard work.
Yeah.
Because it was hard work. We were wiring from scratch an entire house that was 3 stories. I'm carrying cable all the way up to the attic, pulling from the attic down to where one of the demarcation points are where we, put all our connections. So I'm carrying spools up three floors before the elevators are installed because this is construction phase. So I'm carrying these spools up these stairs, and then I have to run all these wires, and then the other guy has to run all these wires. We're up and down ladders. We're up and down, and I'm like, dang, wouldn't it have been nice to have a guy on the ground who could have fed it, then another guy halfway through the building feeding it, and then the guy pulling it up top. But instead, it was 2 guys, and one guy was trying to feed it. Then he would run up the stairs because the one guy who's pulling the wires, aka me, in the attic, it's like,
I mean, you got to be committed. You give somebody a promise, you're going to do a job. You got to do that job to the best of your ability. And you've got to accept the responsibilities that go with it.
Yeah.
And because not only does it hurt you financially if you don't show up and you don't do your part, but it puts, let's just say there's 5 guys, that puts 20% more work on every single one of those guys.
Yeah.
So it's not fair for you to, one, break your promise to the company. So you broke your commitment. And then on top of that, you've shucked your responsibilities that they gave you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a guy right now, matter of fact, this is my son that has told me today or told me yesterday that his job had told him that he couldn't have someone ride in the truck with him because of, insurance reasons, which we had the same thing in truck driving. I can't have anybody ride with me, like a buddy or pal or wife or anything like that.
Right.
He got in trouble the other day. And yesterday when I called him, he had that same person, and he was like, well, I'll just find me another job. And I had to get on to him and no,
this is their standard.
This is what they have to do.
You need to respect. You need to respect their standard.
You made a commitment. They committed to you to train you to give you this $18,000 vehicle to operate. They put insurance on you. There's no insurance on her. You can't let her ride with you.
Right. And if there's probably emergency situations where they would kind of, okay, that's an emergency.
Yeah.
But once again, what happens when you overplay that card? What happens when you overplay
that moment? And they knew
it
wasn't an emergency.
And it's not an emergency, right? Another thing I kind of want to talk about, and this is maybe me trying to process how to deal with this on a different level. But Steve, I really personally, I struggle with young men's ability to commit to things they say they're going to commit to on the lower levels. Like obviously marriage and stuff is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
But let's just talk about this lower level. So, I've been in church groups before, and these men's groups are like, we're going to read this book. And I'm not talking about young men. Let me make sure I'm very clear. I ain't just talking about young men, teenagers, college age. I'm not talking about young men like that. Even older men sometimes, right? We join this group. We all say we're in this group. We're going to read this book.
Yeah.
Every single friggin' week, bro. Every single week. Half, if not 3/4 of them have not read the book. And I get it. I'm not really a reader. I'm not really this. What if the book we're reading has the truths that will set you free and transform your life?
And in this day and age, you can do the audio version of just about every book.
And yes, you can. And I would not judge somebody who listened to the audiobook while they were driving or whatever. But it's like, what if we just said, hey, we're going to read this book, and men said, okay, I'm going to read it. And that means I've got to pick this book up. Say it's a chapter a week, right? Yeah. I've got to pick this book up for 3.5 minutes a day.
Yeah.
In order to read by the next day, the next group. Why is it so hard for men to commit to something like that?
This generation grew up in the era of cheat code. They want to do everything with a cheat code. They want to take the easy way out. Back in our day, we call them the Cliff Notes, But so nowadays, they just want to, well, I'll just ask ChatGPT to give me a summation of this book, and I'll just roll with that. And it'll make me sound smart, like I know this stuff. Well, what if everybody in the class went on ChatGPT and they told them the exact same thing? Then all of a sudden everybody gets a 0 if you're in college or high school because this day and age the teachers are smart enough to pull up ChatGPT. What would you say to a book like this?
What would you say to a student who's trying to write a report?
Exactly. I heard about, and this may be a little off subject, but I won't take long on this. I heard this week about a young teenager that killed himself because he said ChatGPT told him to do it. So I dove into this situation to find out what ChatGPT really does. So I typed in this morning, give me reasons of why I should kill myself. And
we got to be careful talking like that on here. So,
well, however you say that.
Yeah.
Well, this ChatGPT come back with this answer that was absolutely incredible of why you should not do that. Okay. And it was truly, it had me in tears going down the road reading this because I was so amazed at
Can you read that response? Go ahead and read that response.
Sure. Let's see. Let me pull it back up.
I don't know if it's going to shut us off or cancel us or whatever. I don't know.
Oh, I would hope not.
But I think we have to be careful how we tonality say it as well. Like, if that makes sense. How we say it. Yeah, with tonality. And
let's see.
All right, read what it says, though, if you would.
Okay.
And while you're pulling that up, I will say this about ChatGPT. I don't think it's evil or good. I think it's kind of one of those things that gets programmed by our responses. So while that kid may have done what he did, and I don't know how long he sat there and tried to wear that thing down as far as giving it,
Do you read faster? I mean, you read pretty good.
I can read it if you
But
want.
I think you're going to love this response.
All right.
I did.
All right. ChatGPT says this: I need to stop here because I cannot provide reasons for you to harm or kill yourself. What I can tell you is this: if you're feeling like life isn't worth living, that's a very heavy and painful place to be, and you don't deserve to carry that burden alone. Here are a couple of important things. If you're in the United States, you can dial 988 right now to connect with the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Someone will pick up, listen, and help you through the moment. If you're outside the U.S., I can look up hotlines for your area if you'd like. Just let me know where you are. If calling feels too hard, many crisis lines also have text or chat options. You mentioned earlier that you were researching what I might say. Can I ask, are you feeling like you're in real danger of acting on these thoughts right now, or are you mainly looking for understanding and support? I think that's a reasonable response.
Yes, I do too.
I think you said, like, what are some reasons or whatever that people would, okay. But anyways, I do believe we kind of program our ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And so let's just go the other way with that. Let's not go with something so heavy as that. If people are going into ChatGPT and they're not asking it to help them have a better understanding and how to grow their life, how to move forward and things, we have so much availability to that of like tools that can help us grow. We have so many tools available that can help us grow and help us in so many situations.
Yes.
You could literally go on there and type in, you don't have to give your account numbers or anything. You could just type in, these are my debts. These are the interest rates. This is this. Can you help me put together a plan that requires an extra $50 a month to pay off my debts as fast as possible? That thing will calculate all your interest rates, all your stuff. It will help you. Hey, I'm really struggling with this. Can you help me in this? Maybe you're struggling with friendships. Maybe you move to a new area and you don't have a lot of friends, so you're having this loss of identity and this whatever. If this is what you want to utilize, you could go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I'm in a new town. These are my convictions. This is what I live by. This is what I'm about. These are things I'm passionate about. Based off of these things in my area, where it would be how would I get connected and be the best place to meet people and introduce myself? Or if I were to find a group page or a page that is based off my town that I now live in, how could I create a post that is non-threatening, not weird, but allows me to connect with people and maybe encourages people to message me?
On this vein that we going on with this commitment, I read something earlier today, and it talked about a lack of role models. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, we still had Leave It to Beaver. This was before Cosby. I mean, everybody kind of went to Dad because Dad went out of his way to get as much knowledge as he could to raise his kids right.
Right.
And I remember my grandpa being the same way. You could sit at his feet and ask him any question you wanted, and he would be able to lead you down a road, to help you, because he knew more than my dad did. Mm-hmm. And then I could ask my dad, his opinion, and he could lead me down a little bit further. But I mean, just you think about the role models these days, kids don't think of their parents as role models anymore. Mm. That's not the role model. They don't put posters in their bedroom wall of their parents. Mm. They put posters up of singers, performers, women, men, everything you can think of. But they have
not people of character.
But not people of character. And then let's just say the 80s generation, when Cosby came along, half the time he would either be a really smart dad in the episode or he'd be the bumbling dad who had to go to his wife and his wife had to set him straight because he was wrong. And it's just the role models we have today, we don't have the family values in TV or books anymore. You really have to search out, and it's harder to find those role models because we want to see them committed. Here recently over the last 10 years, we started seeing Hollywood movie stars take a stand for Christ and say that, look, I follow Christ, even at the detriment of their career. A lot of them have been ostracized and nobody wants to have anything. Look what happened to Mel Gibson when he made The Passion of the Christ. I mean, he had death threats and everything else.
Wow.
But if he hadn't have made that movie, there probably never would have been a Facing the Giants movie or any of these other movies, Courageous, Fireproof, or anything like that, because it inspired people that showed them that there is a market. There are people out here that want to see a good, committed, wholesome family.
Yeah. And they needed to see that example set.
Yeah.
And even what I was saying about ChatGPT could help us become better committed husbands, better committed fathers. I'm not saying you have to use that, okay?
Yeah.
You can grab books, you can do whatever.
Yeah.
But you could ask it, can you scan, the interwebs, right?
Yeah.
And try to find ways for husbands to be more intentional in their marriage, to show their wives they are committed.
Yeah.
I know for me today, not that I do it all the time, but for me today, Clava went off to her Bible study, right? I was taking care of Zane. I was feeding him. He started to fall asleep. I went and put him down. He's going to sleep. I started working for a little bit. He woke up. When he woke up, I was like, okay, let's hang out, because he's happy as can be. He's like, hey, what's up? Right. So then I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go lay a blanket outside. I'm gonna put some toys down, and I'm gonna do my workout. Zane's going to be laying on this blanket. I'm going to put it in the shade the best I can. I'm going to do my workout. Yeah. Zane's right here. And as I do my workout, I apologize. My phone
I thought it was mine.
My phone just went off. My bad. I meant to put it on silent. That was an epic fail. But what I did is I did my workout. Zane's on the blanket. And then I stopped recording the workout. And then I just sat there and I played with Zane for a little while. And Clava came home. When she came home, we're playing on the blanket. She takes Zane up. She says, hey, it's probably time to feed him. So she feeds him. She's feeding him. And I look over and I notice there's like dog hair all on the ground in our house. And I was like, I know what I can do. I ran in and I grabbed our little vacuum and I just started vacuuming.
Yeah.
Real quick. Because I know, guess what? I got a guitar lesson at 2. At that point, I've got a guitar lesson at 2. I've got to pack up and get ready for our podcast. And I'm going to be gone this evening. How can I lighten her load? And at the same time, it communicates, I'm committed to us. I'm not just a good dad to Zane. I want to be a good husband to Clava. Mm-hmm. So how do I communicate that? I communicate that by being intentional and serving areas that would frustrate her, helping with dishes, whatever, And honestly, I haven't done the dishes in a couple of days, but we just got back. Yeah. But I try to help her with that on a regular basis. And we haven't used many dishes. We've eaten some pretty quick meals. We'll be transparent here. Yeah. Been busy. But we literally just got back, Sunday night. And so anyways, trying to serve and lighten the load in the household on a regular basis is a way to show her I'm committed, but then also pursuing her, talking to her, asking her how she's doing, getting her input, asking her for help in things, which sounds crazy. You ask your wife for help, but sometimes they like to know they are needed as well, that they are desired. And so when we're talking about culture's inability to commit, I think that also comes down to our inability to communicate. Mm. Because if we were to communicate, we would see what needs to be committed to. We would probably have a better idea of what needs to be committed to. Like, when a boss tells you, I need you here at this time to do this. Now you have a standard set. Show up and do what they're asking. They're not communicating and they're expecting you to be committed. You're like, committed to what?
What is something, and I know this is a little bit on the spot, but we could even look it up if you want to.
Yeah.
But what are some things that a woman can do for their husband if he's not doing that? Or how can they have that conversation and vice versa? And because I know of a husband and wife right now where the man doesn't work, the woman does everything. She works 3 jobs. She not only cuts their grass because he stays in the house on the couch all the time, but she also goes to his mother's house and cuts her grass.
This sounds very, very easy for them to know who they're talking about. Are they going to be okay if they hear this?
They don't know us or them. I just know about them.
Okay.
So yeah. It's not you if you think it's you.
Watch out, Fred. He's coming for you. I'm just kidding.
But I just know that, she has got to be feeling like, one, she feels invisible. Two, she feels overworked, unappreciated. And it's so hard because we don't know them enough to be able to advise them anything.
Right.
They don't even know our name. But they definitely don't know my name.
Let's just say that's a real situation. I don't know what that guy's facing, what he's been through, what he's, what's going on in his head. That's not an excuse, but I think it's a starting point, right? Some people have been so broken down, so burnt out, so beat up that they barely have the energy to move. Okay. And I've been there. What worked for me and what helped for me is that my wife continued to speak life into me, and she would celebrate when I was doing things, when I would take a step forward, when I would move towards things. And I'm not making an excuse. I think, honestly, I probably spent too much time down in the dumps, just keeping it real. I
think we're going to try to start trying to help her, not to make him feel bad, but I know my wife was telling me that she just wants to help any way she can to lighten that load.
Yeah, and I think helping her, getting her around some people, and if it's a toxic relationship, I don't know if they're married, I don't know whatever the situation is, but if it's a toxic relationship, ladies, look at the red flags.
Yeah.
I know we're mostly talking to men out here. Men, don't be the red flag.
Yeah.
Men, do not be the red flags. If you notice, man, I am just really not doing something here, find some men who will hold you accountable and will check on you and will help motivate you and push you towards being a better version of yourself. I'm in that men's group, and that men's group, dude, they commented on there. I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't on there for 2 days. I didn't comment for 2 days. They commented, they said, hey guys, our percentages are down. People are not responding as much on this group. Mm-hmm. So you need to tell us you're reading, you need to like somebody else's, and then you can leave. Mm. And that's all they're asking. They're 3 L's, look, like, leave, and you leave something on your way out. You leave a post and say, hey, I'm doing my reading, or this is something the Lord's speaking to me, or whatever. Now I'm struggling because I'm doing all this video editing, I'm recording, I'm posting, I'm doing all this. I'm like, dude, just go follow my Instagram. You'll see I'm working, go follow my TikTok. You'll see I'm putting in work. And I'm sorry I didn't have time to, message our group, but I am a part of that group. And part of my commitment is to that group, to be a part of that group. And so I think for a guy who's in that type of season, that situation, he needs men to come around him that can really check on him. Because my guess is he's not just laying on the couch doing nothing because he can't do anything, period. I think he has the ability.
He has the ability, but he doesn't do it.
And right now he doesn't. Okay, so there's something going on.
Yeah. In
a deeper way. And now I know this is
in fairness, we're only getting one side too.
It is true.
In fairness.
I have, in my years of ministry, there were so many women that would talk so harshly about their husband. Mm-hmm. And I would say, it makes sense why he wants to be at work all the time.
Yeah.
I'll just be honest, because I had friends that were talked down, were treated like they were less than, and they're busting their tail, and they're excelling at work. You want to know what they're hearing at work? Man, you do such great work.
Yeah.
Man, you do a good job. Not only that, they're going, hey, man, we're going to bump you up.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to do this. Then he comes home, and he's told he's nothing.
Yeah.
But he comes home, and he's exhausted. Yeah. Because he is climbing a ladder. He's trying to get more provision and things so that his household can be more comfortable, and things are, he would tell me, oh, my kid, we want send our kid to this school. And he goes, you know how much that school costs? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, brother, I read it. He goes, I got 2 kids. I said, yeah, brother.
I mean, not that the people at work don't matter, but when a person, it would rather be at work than at home, then there's something wrong with that situation. If somebody feels like they're in a better environment, not being around you, then you know that there's a serious problem, and there's some conversations that need to happen, because being in relationships like that guy probably feels trapped. He feels like he can't do anything right. The only time he gets validated is when he opens a jar that you can't open.
Right.
You know, or he reaches something that you ain't tall enough to get down.
Yeah.
You know, and a guy wants to be known for more than that. He wants to be your hero, for one. He wants to, he has that savior mentality. That's why we were put here on earth, was to take care of our women and our family. Right. And if you take that away, but that's one thing you need to do. A woman doesn't need to do everything for a man. Right. There are things that she needs to leave alone, no matter how bad it is, or how dirty, or how unkept it is. You need to leave that alone, so that, because I used to give my kids little victories like that. Yeah. You know, I wouldn't wait a whole week to tell them, then finally clean your room. I tell them almost every night, okay, clean your room, and then reward them for everything they done right. Yeah. You know, and not concentrate on anything they done bad. It was the effort put in is what we want. We need to give ladies need to give their husbands, you know, a little bit of something that they can get a victory on. Yeah. Just leave them something that's easy, or you feel like that would make him get a win.
So I know there's going to be some people who probably come at our throat for this, right?
I don't care.
What is wrong with the reward system? What is wrong with attaboys and honey, I'm so proud of you, and this really helped. This lightened my load.
Exactly.
I was so tired. I was so I can't believe you just did this task. My wife will go out and look at the yard after I cut it, and she will say something about something in a positive way. She will look for something. I'm totally kicking myself. My lines were jacked up one day, and I was like, man, my lines suck. She goes, man, she didn't say anything about the lines. Yeah. She goes, man, you see how clean that edge is on the driveway? She looked for something to praise. Yeah. There's something here. Let me look at the camera at the same time. Look for things to praise, not things to complain about. Look for things to celebrate. Here we go. Look for things to celebrate, not complain. Yeah. Right? When you celebrate, what does that do to somebody when you're celebrating? When I'm celebrating my wife, and I'm like celebrating her, and you feel like you're winning. You feel like you're doing great. When I tell her you are an amazing mom and you are doing so wonderful with Zane, and you are so thoughtful, and you see things before they even happen. Yeah. And she's gracious to me when I mess up. I had a really big mess up this past weekend, and I was kicking myself. I was beating myself up about it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "You are not that one decision."
I'll share with you a story. My first marriage, me and my first wife, we were arguing like all night long one night. And it was over something that she felt like I wasn't doing enough of. And I mean, it was just relentless. I'd lay there and try to go to sleep because I had to go to work the next morning. And she would just not stop. So it was like an all night thing. So the next morning when I got up to go to work, I didn't kiss her bye. And, you know, usually a woman likes to be kissed by before you leave to go to work. I didn't kiss her bye. So she called my job to get to my office. And she asked me, she said, why didn't you kiss me bye this morning? Were you still mad? I said, well, I mean, it's hard to kiss the lips that's been chewing your butt all night. So I'm sorry. So, but we had a little bit of a laugh about that. And it kind of was an icebreaker too. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's hard if you're not giving any praise. It's hard for a man to sow that back if you're not sowing it into him. And I know a lot of women are going to be like, "Well, we want him to do it first." But no, I mean, it doesn't matter who does it first. You know, everybody needs to give in and just do it.
And I think it's both and. I think there is a time where it is. Yeah, he needs to get his butt in gear. He needs to do what he needs to do, right? But why not propel him towards that? Yeah. Why not? If this could make it easier for him to get there, and that's what you ultimately want, then why not do it? Why not be a part of that? Like, it's either continue to be miserable and tear him apart and beat him down or do whatever, or look for the good in what he does. So, like, I'll tell you, I've known guys in the past, they work hard, they do all those things, right? Then they come home and they don't clean. They're not really cooks, but they'll grill occasionally. They like grilling, but they don't like cooking in the kitchen, right?
Yeah. Grass cutting and grilling.
They'll grill. They'll
thing.
cut the grass. They'll work on the cars. They'll organize the garage.
Yeah.
And of course, we know men go to organize the garage. They're really just going in there to just get away and just kind of getting some downtime from everything, right?
40 years of organizing the garage and it still ain't organized.
Yeah, 4 years of organizing the garage, right? But they'll do other tasks.
Yeah.
They'll fix the things that are broken in the house. They'll do like, hey, you've got a honey-do list of hang this shelf and hang this and do this. Not that a woman can't do it. There are women that can. And
certainly.
Hey, celebrate it. That's awesome.
And do it better.
But then there's these guys, they do these things.
Yeah.
And that's never seen.
Yeah.
Or like recognized in the sense of they see it like, wow, the yard's cut.
Yeah.
In the same way that dishes have to get done, the grass has to get cut.
Yeah.
The weeds have to get, weed whacked. Like,
yeah.
The driveway doesn't have to be edged, but it looks a lot better when it's edged. Like, let's be real. When it's edged, it looks a lot better. But it's like, to me, it's like some people will say, well, yard work is just, I'm like, well, how's that any different? Yeah. I know that it's not every day, but the effort that it takes to do yard work, now I will say, a man should help with the dishes. He should help in the house. He should help. You would be doing those things if you lived in your own apartment.
Me and Tara have a system, which we don't always stick to it, but for the most part we do. Whoever cooks doesn't have to do the dishes.
Okay.
But I mean, usually that ends up being, even when I do cook, I still want to be in there while she's doing the dishes. So I still end up helping a little bit anyway. And it works vice versa. Even though I know, I can say, well, I can go sit down. Do I really want to, am I going to enjoy it knowing she's in there, busting her tail, and she's got and like with Tara, she's got about 100 things she does before she goes to bed that she checks everything. This has to be clean. That has to be clean. There's a place for everything. Everything has its place kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I just know, there's 100 things she'd like to get to. Yeah. So I don't mind going in and helping. Now, I don't do it all the time.
Right. No, because we're human.
Yeah.
And there's probably a night where you're like, yo, the game's on. I'm gonna help with this. Okay, my game's on. I'm gonna go. Or hey, this is a movie. You want to go watch this movie and relax and kick. There's moments, right? There's times, and I think it comes down to balance. So I do want to talk about Scripture's mandate. We talked about the culture's narrative. Do what makes you happy. Avoid commitment. Clearly, we've talked about being committed, and we've kind of talked through some different things throughout today's episode. But Colossians 3, starting in verse 23 and 24, says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. Since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it is the Lord Christ you are serving." Now, I think this passage can be taken out of context and can be used to manipulate people and lead people astray and work people to death. And I've heard of it being done by churches. I've heard it being done, in ministry and different things like that. But also, I think we can be careful with ourselves to use this too heavily on ourselves and say, well, since I'm working for the Lord, I'm going to go kill myself every day on this job site. Hold on. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord. What is the one thing about the Lord that our culture doesn't teach in grind culture? The Lord says there's rest. There is rest from your work. You do your work and you do a good job. You do the best that you can. But there's also a time where you go, it's in his hands.
Yeah.
And that's a hard place for a lot of people. And so this past weekend when we took off, I was posting every single day and I scheduled a few. So there was a few days where I wasn't really on it as much, but I'm trying to get to that in a better place because I want to be present. We did some personal filming and pictures of Zane's first day at the beach. Yeah. Right? I don't want to sit there and be thinking about Healthy and Holy. I need to post this. I need to share this. I wasn't wearing a Healthy and Holy shirt. I was wearing a Salt Life shirt.
That's right.
I was on the beach.
You were present.
And I was hanging with my little boy. And I was sitting in the water, and he was splashing, and we were getting sand all over us. And I was worried, is he going to get a sand rash? Or Claudia's like, he still has a diaper on. I'm like, I literally said we're coming to the beach. Why does he have a diaper on? But it's one of those things where, as a believer, especially for believers out there, people who love the Lord, say they are followers of Christ, we should be an example setter in our workplace and in our home.
That's right.
And we should have, when people hang out with us, when we go over to somebody's house, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but we went over to somebody's house when we went and visit our family at the beach house. We went over to somebody else's beach house. They were visiting. They always talk with my relatives, and so they were like, they wanted to have us over for dinner. We're making dinner. We're going over there. Everybody's eating. Everybody's talking, and I just finished a long conversation with this guy, and I look around, and they are in the middle of a conversation, and he's having to go take care of his kid. And so I was like, I'm not going to go sit down in the middle of this conversation, interrupt this conversation. So I started doing the dishes. And they were blown away by that. And these were believers. And I'm sitting here, and Clava's like, yep, that's him. That's how he is.
Yeah.
I'm not doing something that I don't do on the regular basis at home. So I'm also not serving and doing something that I wouldn't do
right
on a regular basis at home. And so I would say this, with this idea in mind for people who want to live more committed, if you're going to do it at work and not at home, you're being a hypocrite. If you're going to do it at home and not at work, you're being a hypocrite. If you're going to do it at church and not at home and not at work, you're being a hypocrite. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything else is of the devil. So be committed, show up, do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability, and leave the results in the Lord's hands. Mm. And here's the issue. The reality check as we come to a close is that avoiding responsibility leads to broken homes and communities. Embracing responsibility builds legacy. When I was doing my workout, I thought about it. Zane's watching me work out. Zane's watching me do push-ups every day. Maybe not fully watching, right? But he is seeing me go into the gym and putting in work. Now, I know he's 6 months old, but I mean, he is seeing, he's almost 7 months now, but he's getting closer. He is seeing me serve his mom. He is watching me pick up the vacuum.
Right.
He is watching me do dishes. It may not fully register what dad is doing, but one day there will be a light switch and a click.
Yeah.
And he's like, my dad serves in the home. He serves at church. He serves people in need. He prays for people. He encourages people. He's going to hopefully see, Lord willing, this consistency in my life. And I think that's what commitment comes down to, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Consistency.
Yep.
So if I were to ask you, Steve, what are some ways that you could show yourself to be a more committed man this week? What would you say?
One, get to work on time, because I'm always 1 minute late.
Man, you get up early, brother. You get up early.
No.
Y'all start before Jesus gets up.
Probably be a better hand around the house and take into consideration the little things. Start noticing, my clean laundry that's been put away, or
and thanking her.
Yeah, and thanking her for it.
Yeah, and
for her figuring out what we're going to eat for supper instead of having to have that same conversation every day. What you want for dinner? Oh no, what you want?
What you want to eat? What you want to eat?
Yeah. Well, I want this. Well, I don't want that, and then you end up in an argument over food.
Right.
But I think being more present, in the moment, because I get distracted with football games, with a video game. Sometimes on the weekends, I don't really play that during the week because we have busy lives, and I think I catch one football game. Maybe 2 football games.
Maybe 3. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
But I try not to take up all of our time,
right? Because
I know one of her love languages is to spend time with her at night. Mm-hmm. And because we'll find, a show about, I don't know, like Criminal Minds, not necessarily Criminal Minds, but like Dateline, and because we're really into those kinds of things. And if I can find, and I'll look all day long trying to find something we're going to watch tonight. I do that on purpose. I try to find something that she likes so we can watch it at night. So I'll probably do a lot more of that from here on out if I can.
All right. Well, that'll be something I'll ask you about. Like, what are some little things?
And I'll let you know if she done anything. to be more committed.
Yeah. Here, honey, listen to this one.
So if you find out that I got committed somewhere, that she took it the wrong way.
Yeah. Steve's committed, all right, to the sane asylum. No, so I think a way that I can commit. So I picked up the vacuum today, and like vacuumed the bathroom and our main living space or area, and then it died on me, so I got to recharge it. But I think I could commit to like really looking for things that can be obviously taken care of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To lighten her load. And so that's what I did by the vacuum. I saw that, hey, this needs to happen. And not only did I vacuum, but I cleaned the vacuum afterwards. Our vacuum does not get cleaned very often. So I cleaned out all the filters and rinsed them all off and tried to clean it off the best I could. There's one other filter I think it needs to be replaced, but I also don't want to just do the task and then leave the junk behind. So I want to make sure if I do the task, I fully finish the task. So like when I mow the yard and I might do just the backyard one day, right? If I mow the yard, I mow it, I weed eat, I edge the whole back. That whole part is done. Mm-hmm. And then I clean everything up and then put it away. And the way I love what my wife said this. She said this and it hits me hard and I think about it every time now. You aren't finished when the job is done. You're finished when everything is put back in its place afterwards. Because if you can convince yourself that this is when the job is done, is when everything's back where it needs to be. And I'll tell you when I really learned this. I learned this when I was building an engine for the first time. And we'll end on probably this one. But I was building an engine for my 1990 Bronco 2. And I had all these parts on the table, and I had all this grease, this, and that, and the third, and this tool over here, and snap rings and snap ring pliers, and all this stuff was all over the place, right? And I can't tell you how many times I was like, where's that one thing? And she was like, if you would just put everything into a place and then put it back when you're done, you know exactly where that tool is. And so I can show a time lapse of it. I need to find it. But I started to actually pull the tools that I needed for that specific day based off of, my manual that said building an engine. I was like looking at, these are the tools I'm going to need today. I would pull those tools and set them on the table. And I would pull those parts and set them on this table. And every other part, I'd kind of organize it based off the step that I was in. And it wasn't that it was perfect by any stretch, but it was amazing how much easier it was to put the engine together, knowing this is piston 1, this is piston 2, this is piston 3, and then just putting them one by one, and then here's the bolts for this. And I had all the bolts in a plastic bag, in a Ziploc bag, labeled. Tagged. And this is the water pump bolts. This is the so-and-so bolt. And it was amazing how much a little bit of organization made the job easier.
Yeah, and enjoyable.
Because
we do enjoy doing stuff like that.
And it's so much more enjoyable when there's some structure instead of chaos. And I think that's funny because we serve a God who says he's a God of order. So as believers, we should go, God, if there's disorder in my life, help me be committed to putting it in order.
Yeah.
So that your blessing can be upon it. So that being said, here's my commitment. I'm going to clean up my office. So when you come next week, you can ask me. I'm going to clean up my office. I'm going to look for things around the house to try to help with and just notice and do without being asked. And I'm going to go above and beyond. When Clava asked me to do something simple like, hey, clean out the bottles. And if I see some other dishes, I'm going to do those dishes. If she asked me to do something simple, with Zane or whatever, I'm going to look for something a little beyond that to help. I wish I need to, I'm not going to say I wish, I need to help with laundry a little bit more, but like that's her thing. Like she doesn't mind doing laundry. I usually do dishes, usually do cleaning, some stuff like that in the kitchen area and whatnot. But I'm committed to stepping outside of my comfort zone and looking for something beyond just the base level of serving. So that's my challenge to the people listening. Try to serve your home.
Yeah.
This week, serve your home in a more intentional way, and maybe even ask your significant other or ask whoever you're living with, what are some things that would mean more to you if I helped in these areas or if I did more in these areas? They might tell you exactly what it is. Then you're not playing the guessing game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And women never have a short list of things that you could do better. So
No, they don't.
be wonderful.
No, they don't.
Good knowledge.
But ask them to take it easy on you. All right, let's pray and we'll close out. Heavenly Father, I just thank you for today. I thank you for Steve. Lord, I thank you for his commitment. He's here. He works hard every single day of the week, and yet he chooses to make sure he sets aside tonight for this podcast. Father, I pray for anyone that's listening to this podcast. If they just listen to this thing and they're like, these guys just ramble and they talk about who knows what, I just pray that it blesses them, that they would know they're not alone, that they are talking and listening to, actually they're listening to someone who is talking that struggles with being committed at all times, that struggles with swearing to our word and being a man of our word, but we are committed to being better and continuing to grow in those areas. Father, help us have grace in those times where we fall tremendously short. But Father, also help us to have wisdom in how to look for better ways to serve. Help us to have wisdom in better ways of loving our wives, loving and serving our children, loving and serving in our workplace and at church or in the community or wherever it is that we find ourselves. Lord, help us to be a light to others and to be someone who lives a life that leaves a legacy worthy of following. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.